Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. So in my last video, I talked about how the ARP and the infrastructure bill are corporate welfare, trickle-down economics on steroids. And I want to continue with this. So part of the infrastructure bill is allegedly to advance green energy. Of course, taking decades longer than what scientists say we actually have. One thing that should be of major concern regarding this is that I already pointed out that Biden had a meeting at the White House with oil company executives regarding the future of green energy. Why were only oil company executives invited to this meeting? Why weren't existing leaders in the research and production of green energy products? Why wasn't Elon Musk at this meeting? And the answer should be fairly obvious. We already know that oil companies have been starting to invest in green energy technology. Now, these are the same people that have, for decades, longer than I've been alive, known the dangers of their products to human life and to the environment. They knew that climate change was an extreme possibility. They knew that it was beginning to happen. And they covered it up. They covered up all of the dangers involved. Years ago, they covered up the dangers that they knew about with leaded gasoline. And they knew that the technology existed at that time for many years before they transitioned away from leaded gasoline. The lead industry for decades knew the dangers of their product, just like the asbestos industry knew the dangers. But to this point, we already have planned obsolescence with our vehicles, our electronics, and many cases with our medications, which is an entirely different discussion. But we know it's there. We know these things are there. So do we really want to hand our money over to oil corporations with their track record and with planned obsolescence being a known factor? Do we really want to do this? But no matter what, this is just, again, corporate welfare. This is trickle-down economics. Hand the money to them. Oh, they'll create jobs. How about we nationalize the green energy industry? Something else that is involved in the infrastructure bill is improving access to broadband internet. For the costs that we're spending, how about we nationalize broadband internet? We could build out community internet across this country. Add another $2 a month to your utility bill, and everyone in the country has high-speed internet, much faster speeds than what we've got now. Every other industrialized country Russia, China, Europe, Japan, Korea, all these other countries have internet speeds and cellular phone speeds which far exceed ours. And yet we're going to spend money right now. What he is proposing is spending money on previous generation technology that the rest of the world has already gone beyond, and then handing over the controls to corporations that will charge you enormous, extravagant sums, even if you reduce the bill for internet, for broadband internet. How much of a profit are they still making off of this? These companies did not develop broadband internet. They did not develop the internet. They did not develop fiber technology for carrying the internet. They did not develop the cellular phone technology which we use. They didn't develop any of this. You and I paid for these things to be developed. And then these technologies were handed over to them for them to make a profit off of you. So why don't we just build out high-speed wireless internet across the country? It doesn't involve digging millions of miles of pipe for something that is going to be obsolete by the time it is completed. We could do this without paying for corporate profits every step of the way, and for decades, generations to come, to be behind the rest of the world. This is planned obsolescence right here and now. With the plan, with his infrastructure plan for high-speed internet, this is planned obsolescence, and it's obsolete before it ever gets started. There's some other factors involved here. Okay, so he has to include this where it will be funded. In other words, this is pay-go. There was nothing that was included in the tax break for the rich, which was approved by Democrats as well as Republicans. And yet, if we want to improve our infrastructure, we have to show that we can, that we have a way to pay for it before it even gets considered, and it probably still won't get considered by Republicans. Corporate tax rate. So he wants to increase the corporate tax rate to 28%. I pointed out before, the corporate tax rate under Obama, the official corporate tax rate, was 35%. It's, of course, not what they paid. He promised to close tax loopholes, and I'm not seeing any of that. Have you heard anything about tax loopholes being closed? Because I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing it. Yeah, he's talking about, some increases on, I can't think of the name of it right now, but, such as the taxation on investment earnings. Well, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. But anyway, and that should happen. That should absolutely happen. And I actually agree with it being anywhere over $1 million. Because if you have smaller investments, that the tax rate should not go up for the average person with a 401k or a retirement account of some kind. But it could start at 500,000. It could definitely start lower than $1 million. Because that's taxing how much they earn from those investments in 1 year. Right now, the highest taxation rate on the earnings from those investments is 20%. That is the highest, and that's if you earn over $500,000 a year from that kind of income. 20%. My taxes on my income is higher than 20%. And yet, somebody that has enough money to earn over $500,000 a year from their investments only pays 20% on what they earn from those investments. But back to the 28%. All right, first of all, that's too low. And second, it also says 21% on what? Global corporate earnings. So, in other words, they pay a higher tax rate on domestic earnings, but for companies that make far more money doing business in other countries, they get rewarded with a 7% cut in their taxes on anything they make outside of this country. What is the purpose of this? This is encouraging these companies to move as much of their operations overseas as possible. That is what this is doing. This is not solving problems. This is encouraging these problems to expand. So, again, this whole thing is all trickle-down economics. It's all corporate welfare. He is proposing subsidizing corporate profits. This is his idea of increasing the GDP. Well, the GDP doesn't mean anything to you and I. What the GDP means, anything to, is the people at the very top, the 0.1%. And I seriously doubt that any part of the 0.1% is watching this channel. And if you support the 0.1% and you are not part of them, you're a puppet dancing on a string. And you are nothing but. You are a wannabe. And you will never be up there. Yet, nobody watching this channel, one out of what? Every 300 million? 1 out of 100 million, Americans, maybe, might reach up and might get up there to that 0.1%. And that's if you can wrest enough of the money away from the people that are already up there, because that's the only way you're going to get there. You have to just completely rip that money out of their hands, because there's no other way you're going to get there. And then you're going to have to be right up there with Jeff Bezos, with Bill Gates, and working right in tandem with the U.S. government, the U.S. empire. Is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to be? Do you want to be a warmonger, a corporatist, an oligarch? Do you really want to ignore the human suffering that you leave in your wake? If you do, then I have nothing else to say. I don't want to hear anything you've got to say. And I really doubt anybody else wants to hear what you've got to say. So, share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel. I'll catch you in the next one.